Hey guys, welcome to another video. What are you doing, Stumpy Daryl? I'm not Stumpy Daryl. I'm Cupid. You know, cause Valentine's coming up. Oh, really? Valentine's? I didn't know it was Valentine's Day. I was, in February I was just thinking of The Walking Dead returning, but yeah, I guess there is something else. And also, I thought you were a chicken. Oh, chicken! Oh, knock it off. Hey guys, welcome to my review. So, in my previous video, I reviewed the Morgan from the 2-pack of Walker, and Morgan, and whatever this spiral thing is called. Yeah. But anyway, now I'm reviewing the female Walker from this. And believe it or not, this is actually a rare thing to see a female Walker. But some people make the mistake of saying it's the only female Walker we've ever seen. However, although it's also debatable whether this is a Walker, but we've seen the Bicycle Girl zombie, and this one here is also a female. So we've gotten 2 female Walkers at this point, and I think that's pretty neat. It's pretty well done. I definitely would recommend this, but let's take a look at some of the items on it first. And, yes, it's definitely better than the first female Walker that we got here. But let me show that off in a second. Okay. Right off the bat, I gotta say it's got really grotesque paint that I love. They, like, upped the gross factor with this one by just adding a bunch of slimy, greasy type paint to her that just makes it look fresh, I don't know, like oozy, and that's pretty wicked. She does have kind of eyes painted in there, but it's kind of hard to tell. At first when I was looking at her, I thought, like, are her eyes completely swollen over and you can't see any eyes? But they did slightly paint pupils in there. So if you look just close enough in the right lights, you can see that there are eyes there. Then her mouth is just like completely mangled. I love that. And then the hair is really nicely sculpted and well painted. This is a really nice figure. It does lack in the articulation, but that's okay because with Walkers, we rarely see great articulation. Now, does this justify getting the 2-pack for, like, what's it, $40 or $35.99, something like that? It varies from store to store and from sale to sale, but is it worth that? I'm gonna say maybe. It depends on what your budget is. Are you not going to be able to afford the Rick that came out in that series if you get this pack? And if that, then no, it's not worth that. But if you have enough money to get the entire wave and you want this extra, pick it up for sure. In fact, I would skip the Eugene figure and the, let me think, what's another figure that from this wave that was bomb? I would skip the Morgan figure too, since you're going to get a Morgan in this pack. Skip those 2, and then you can pick up this 2-pack and get the Morgan, as well as a zombie, and whatever the hell they call this. I do not know what they call this. Is it a spool? I know it's supposed to be some sort of zombie trap, but there's another name for it. But I'll give this a separate review, just because there's so many things to talk about with that. But let's move on here. The blood paint is much better than the blood paint on the Morgan. It's not fresh or anything. It's dark and gooey looking and definitely coagulated, like, and that works perfectly. And if you look up in there, there's actually, I'm looking up a skirt that's a bit ungentlemanlike, but let's take a look here anyway, because hey, who cares? Let's see. I'm having trouble getting light in here. Light up. Okay, so the paint goes in all the way through to, like, up to this point, even though you can't really see what's in there, and I like that. That's not usually done with action figures. Like, normally they wouldn't even bother that. Why is my lamp being such a trouble right now? Stop lamp, why? Okay, and that's really nice. Well sculpted skirt as well. I think this is called skirt. Is it dress? No, I'm gonna say skirt. Come to think of it, her clothing looks like what my grandma wears. Shirts that go down to her elbow. It's got the one pocket there, long dress. Yeah, this is what my grandma wears. So I'm guessing this is a more elderly type lady that ended up turning. She doesn't look like such a hot young thing anyway, so yeah. She also looks a little thicker than like a teenager or anything, so that rules out being a teenager. And yeah, the detail is great. The paint is great. We'll take a look at the articulation in a second. There's this, great. There's this very hardly put in piece of some sort of tied up thing there that I'm going to have to glue back in. And I have no idea why it's so easy to fall out, but it looks nice. See that? Nice shredded clothing. She looks like she's aged more than the usual walker here. And I like that a lot. Okay, now let's go over articulation. I'm going to set this aside for a second. Okay, so let's start with the head. It can do almost a 360. Nope, 360 spin. Very nice. Head can look up that much and look down quite a bit. It can move side to side. Feels like it can do head pivot. That works. And then the shoulder can move full 360. As well as not quite a right angle there. I don't know, maybe if you consider her tilted, then it's a right angle. Whatever that is. Okay, and then the elbow can move quite a bit past a 90-degree angle. She actually has more articulation in her arms than, or better articulation than the Morgan figure. So I'd just like to point that out there. That's pretty nice. And then at the wrist it can spin, and I like the gesture of that hand. Look at that. As well as the sculpt. Everything on this figure is really well sculpted. Usually there's some things I can point out and say, nah, it's not sculpted too well, but everything on this is done with great skill and awareness to what looks good. And that looks good. That gesture sort of works for every little pose you want to put her in. And she's missing her pinky finger because it's supposed to have been like chewed off, I'm guessing. That's not something that's broken, keep in mind. So if yours comes without a pinky, don't think, oh man, I must have broke off that pinky finger. It's normal. She's got a nice broken looking wrist there, and then on this arm, can move past the 90-degree angle on the right angle on the shoulder there. Can do a full 360, and of course, she's like leaning forward in a very weird way, so her arms can bend inward quite far. So yeah, she's got weirder articulation than the average figure, but that's not a bad thing. Then the elbow can do a full 360. It's not quite as articulated as its sister here. That's because this has an extra piece of like clothing up there, and that restricts it from bending to a 90-degree angle. Then it has the spin at the wrist where it can do full 360. And that's nice. Then at the legs there's absolutely none, and at the waist there's like a little give, but it doesn't really work. Okay, now she does have a hole sculpted right through her, and that hole here, see that? That is so that she can stick into the trap here, and yeah, it's this green one that sticks out far. That's the one that she's supposed to just like slide into. And that works fair. It looks good with displaying, but personally for me, I prefer just having her part of the horde and having her walk around. She looks much cooler than just giving her that one little piece of posing. Yeah, I think she's definitely good enough to add to your horde. So if you're a walker collector, she's definitely a must. But if you're just a human collector, probably should steer clear because she's a walker. But definitely, if you're going to get any walker, I would say she is probably the second best, the Flu Walker being the best one. So yeah, that's my review. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Make sure to check out my other videos, and make sure to leave a like if you haven't for this lovely lady here. Blah. It looks like she wants to do the Thriller dance. 'Cause you're a thriller, thriller,